Konnichiwa. This is the Shogunstein. That's Mitzi, a German Shepherd. And this is Dog Park. Game we've been waiting for a long time. Or should I call it Dog Span? Or Dog Span Park. It is a game for 1 to 4 players. It combines, to me, in my opinion, elements of games like Wingspan and elements of games like Parks into this lovely dog-themed dog walking game. And it's a dog game about dogs, not dog people. Come on, game designers, tired of these anamorphic animal games. This is actually a game about dogs being dogs. And this is the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition. So it's a very easy game to learn, very easy game to play. So let me throw that out there. I'm going to give you my initial thoughts on the game. It's not a heavy game. Okay? This is not, Gaia Project. This is not Lucerno. This is Dog Park. It's like, again, it's like Parks and it's like Wingspan. So if you think of the difficulty or non-difficulty of a game like Parks or Wingspan, that's where you are with Dog Park. That's not a bad thing necessarily. Just know going in that this isn't a heavy Euro. Game's beautiful components. Again, you got these nice trays shaped like a biscuit. And you got toys, you got sticks, you got biscuits, you got an orange, like a tennis ball, you got the dog collar. Again, it's about walking dogs. So the game, again, has elements of Wingspan and Parks, played over a couple of phases. You're going to recruit, select, walk, and then home. It's over 4 phases. Then you're going to count up your points. Comes with a nice score sheet. So the first thing you do is you're going to bid twice. There are going to be different dogs coming out here. I never had a Shiba Inu, but I was just in Japan. I've had Westies for a lot of my life. I've had Rottweilers. I had 2 Rottweilers. Rest in peace, Max and Buck. And in the first phase, well, again, in the game, there's going to be set up. You're going to be setting up resources here. There are going to be some ways to score points during the rounds. Then there's going to be the breeds, where you're going to score for having the most breeds. So you can set all that stuff up. You're going to get some points here that you're going to use to, there's be a bidding. So in the first part of the game, the recruit phase, you're going to bid on one of these tree dogs. And you do that twice. And then if you get the dog, it goes into your kennel. And again, it's a bidding. So you're going to bid on against other players or against a bot. In a 2-player game, you're going to go against the other player in a bot. Or in a solo game, there's nice solo mode here. You're going to bid against 2 bots. And then you can put the dog in your kennel. Then the next phase is you're going to select which dogs you're going to walk. And again, this is going to be the cost and resources to get the dog out of the kennel, to sort of like the lead here where you're going to leash him. Put on a leash. And then sort of like Parks, you're going to walk the dog, get resources. You want to time how much you want to walk, how many resources. Do you want to get there first? Do you want to not get there first? Pick up more resources. You're going to do that in the walk phase. Then you're going to reset. And you're going to do that for 4 rounds. And again, you're going to score based on where you are left on the reputation track. You're going to score, every 5 of these resources you have left over gets a point. There are going to be, for the rounds, there are ways you got points. Some of these dogs have final game scoring. You're going to score for the, who had the most of a breed. So, again, this is not a heavy game, but it's a lot of fun. I found the solo mode, I found the solo mode more challenging than playing with Little Shogunstein, who doubled my score. So it's a nice game. Again, easy to learn, easy to teach. They give you a ton of cards. Here, lots of variety here. You don't have to buy any more cards. It's not like, again, Wingspan, you got to buy 900 packs of birds Here they give you a ton of dogs. Again, these are the advanced pieces. You got these nice game trays in here. It's pretty blinged out. So in buying the game, I knew this was not a heavy game. I love dogs. Look, there's a little Mitzi. Love Mitzi. Our rescue. Love dogs. I love dogs being dogs. Love the theme. Great game. And again, easy to set up, easy to play, easy to teach. And, again, I'm more of a heavy gamer, and I like it. And Little Shogunstein likes heavier games. But we had fun. That's the bottom line. We had fun here. But know, if you're going to play Dog Park, that it's on the lighter side. Now, again, these are the advanced Kickstarter Deluxe components. So that's another thing I want to talk about here in this video. This is a game that I wanted for a while. But I knew from reviews that it was light. And no offense to Kickstarter, I'm not a big fan of giving people my money and then maybe in 2 years I get a game. And also, some of these Kickstarter prices are ridiculous. So I held off on this game. There was a point where Amazon was selling the retail version of this without the fancy bits. And again, that's not life or death to have the fancy bits, but they were charging, I think it was like $50 for the base game with the non-deluxe components. So again, knowing that the game was on the lighter side, knowing that it didn't have the deluxe components, I waited. And again, not a big, then they had a second Kickstarter where you could get the game again if you missed it, and then they put out some expansions to make the game a little more umph to it, a little heavier. So they came out with the Dog Park, new tricks, and still to get the base game, and then the tricks, and then the shipping, and then the waiting. I said, no, I'm not really a Kickstarter person anymore. I don't really back many games anymore on Kickstarter. I got a couple of outstanding Kickstarters that I'm probably never going to get, but I back some local things here: Talon Strikes, Gamelin, my friend Dan with the Trailblazer. But I really don't do the Kickstarter. Again, I'm not a big fan of it's not a good investment. Here's $150. 2 years later, maybe I get a game. So I held off. And again, this is going to say a lot about the state of board gaming. I held off, and sure enough, I had to play the games that I already had or other games that I purchased. Sure enough, at the used game sale, because there's a lot of used game sales now, again, I think the hobby is shrinking and again, I'm going to go back to my dogs. I like dogs being dogs. I'm tired of dog sheriffs. I'm tired of dog, politicians, dog this, animal that. Tired of that. This is actually dogs being dogs. So I think the board game industry, and there's not a lot of games about dogs. Plenty of games about Vikings and zombies and pirates. Not a lot of dog games about actual dogs and dog walking. So I think there's been a lot of things within the hobby. Influencers telling, half the people who buy their game are in the hobby, that they don't count because they don't like how they voted, overpriced games, terrible Kickstarter campaigns, people not getting their money, issues with the tariffs. There's a lot of things. And again, just a lack of, companies trying to sell you the 9 versions of the same game, retheming games, There's a lot of reasons that the hobby has been shrinking, in my opinion. And I think the reflection of the shrinking of the hobby is how many games are now being culled, and you can go to Goodwill and you can find actually, if you dig through the copies of Seen It and Trivial Pursuit and Office Trivia, no offense to The Office, love it. You can actually find good games at Goodwill if you're willing to look. But there's plenty of people, online or at we have a lot of used game events here in Phoenix. So I went to the used game sale a couple weeks ago, and there it was. Dog Park Kickstarter edition with the expansion. All the fancy bits. Looked like it had been played maybe once, maybe. $45. Now, again, if you're not into gaming, $45 sounds like a lot of money. Before I got into gaming, $45 sounded like a lot of money. In board gaming, unfortunately, $45 is not a lot of money. Again, this game, if I had backed it on Kickstarter and got all the bells and whistles and shipping and handling, would have probably cost me, you know, between $100 and $150 when all was said and done. To me, that's ridiculous. There's very few things game-wise that I'm going to pay $150 for anymore. And here's, and no offense to the people that put out this game, because this is many of the Kickstarters now. I waited, and sure enough, found it used $45, barely used all the fancy bits. So I paid less for this game, Kickstarter, with all the fancy bits and the expansion than I would have paid for the retail on Amazon. So moral of the story is, I don't think that Kickstarter or any of these crowdsourcings are very good investments right now. And that was even before, you know, they weren't good deals even before the tariffs. And who knows what goes on with tariffs. And then some of these game companies that had messed up way before tariffs are charging you extra for the tariff. And they, you know, the game was late, had nothing to do with tariffs. So there's a lot of things going on in the industry that I think, unfortunately, people are leaving the industry. I think the bubble has burst a little bit. I know in the gaming that we do, we've moved towards smaller games, and a lot of us buy the used games, and they're hardly used. So do enjoy Dog Park. Again, just know it's lighter. And again, I would say if you're going to get the game, see if you can find a used copy of the Kickstarter, because the components are really, really nice. They're out there, and I can say that with many of the games out there. You know, many of those games end up on the used sale pretty quickly. You'd be surprised. Again, that's just the nature of the hobby. But Dog Park, love the theme, love the components, love that it's just fun, easy to play, but know what it is. I'm not going to give you that fake cat, oh, this is a game that you should bring to your parents who don't play games, or bring to work with your non-gaming friends. I don't know who those people are. I don't have any people at work that, you know, in the middle of eating their, you know, Hot Pocket, that are like, oh, could you put out a board game for us? You got 40 minutes for lunch. No one wants to play a board game at lunch. That's a fake category. But I do think that if you want a lighter game, you know, I played, again, I'm comparing this to Parks. Throughout the pandemic, I played Parks quite a bit in the first expansion. And again, it was on the lighter side, but I loved it. It kept me busy. And I think the solo mode on here comes with different levels, different objectives that are difficult to do. I think between all the cards you got here, and then the new tricks, and then again, just the base itself, there's a lot here. But again, just know that it's light. It's okay to enjoy a light game. Not everything has to be, you know, felt. So Dog Park, loving it. Love dogs. Love dog games about dogs. Great components. And just wait. You know, you like the game? There you go. There's the dog right there, telling you to wait also. Wait till you find these games. Don't go out and buy the expensive Kickstarter. Shogunstein out.